Coming up, big sales for Heavy Iron show, a bright future for aviation as a whole. It's showing up already at flight schools.
An incredible collection on the auction block and learning to rivet like Rosie did.
Plus, voices of the Super Sabre. We're thankful for their service. That and more right after this.
This is AOPA Live This Week with Tom Haynes and Alyssa Cobb.
It's like Oshkosh on a global scale, but for Heavy Iron. The Dubai Air Show 2021 is in the books with hundreds of orders.
That's right. Airbus sold 404 airplanes and Boeing sold 101. Why should you care? Well, it's simple. Hundreds of airliners sold means the demand is back after the global pandemic kneecapped the entire aviation industry. Most of the airframes sold are for new use. That's good news, not replacement. And that will carry down into the GA market, including the need for pilots. So it's a rising tide in aviation, and that translates directly to flight schools here in the United States. Many people are discovering that it is a perfect time to pursue a professional pilot career. ATP Flight School offers a fast track to the airlines. They have multiple locations around the country, including a new airline pilot training center in Arlington, Texas. In the accelerated program, you can go from zero time to CFI in just 7 months. Wow, way faster than my route. It's an efficient way to boost students toward their dreams and career goals.
My favorite part about my job is seeing the students then become instructors. And then we see them at alumni events, captains at American, Delta. Just seeing them live their dream is my favorite part.
Mary Van de Kieft is a student at ATP on the airline pilot track.
The weather, this facility, the fleet that we have here just seemed like the perfect fit for me and for what my goals were. So I wanted to be completely dedicated, and here I am.
Well, the Arlington Training Center has the latest and greatest technology with new Cessna 172s, Piper Archers, and flight simulators. ATP also has several partnerships offering a direct path to the major airlines.
Okay, so the demand is high, but how are young people supposed to pay for expensive ratings? Don't forget about the scholarships available. AOPA is one of many organizations that award flight training scholarships each year. The application period for ours is open now through February 11th. There's a ton available, including 120 $10,000 primary flight training scholarships for high school students and teachers. That's $1.2 million from AOPA Foundation donors, including the James Ray Foundation.
Well, one of the airplanes future pilots will be flying took its first flight this week. The Beechcraft Denali single-engine turboprop took to the skies over Kansas. The Denali is a clean sheet design powered by the new GE Catalyst engine. Senior test pilot Peter Gracie and chief test pilot Dustin Smizer flew the new machine for almost 3 hours on that first flight. Now, they took it as high as 15,600 feet and as fast as 180 knots. Textron said it hopes to certify the Denali in 2023. And another new airplane, this is the Auto Aviation Solera 500L. It just finished its first flight test series, and so far it has 50 hours of flight time. Auto's goal is to make the most fuel-efficient, commercially viable aircraft. The odd fuselage shape is designed to actually reduce drag. Now, it's powered by a single liquid-cooled V12 engine burning Jet A or biodiesel. Auto says the airplane will have 8 times lower fuel consumption than a light jet, and they say it will have a 4,500-mile range and cruise at 400 knots.
Do you have a favorite World War II airplane? Well, now you can get a watch to match it. Breitling unveiled the new Super Avi watch collection last week at the National Aviation Education Center in Dallas.
We're launching the Super Avi, which is a product inspired by a historical product of Breitling of 1953, the Avi 765, and the great and the fun part of it that we have a partnership with 4 planes, with the Mosquito, with the Mustang, with the Corsair and the Curtiss, and each of these planes has its own watch. Products are beautiful, obviously taking over the colors of the planes, and yeah, it has been very successful today.
All four of the airplanes that inspired the watch designs flew into Dallas for the unveiling event. The watches are available to order now on the Breitling website. And it's a barn find auction of an incredible collection of aircraft. The estate of Ronald Warren has a number of backcountry, experimental, and warbird aircraft for auction. It's spread across 3 states in the Northwest. You can see the full collection on the Musser Brothers auction website. But there's everything from a helicycle turbine single-seat helicopter to RVs to rattan canards and a bunch of high-wing Pipers. None of the aircraft are an annual and haven't flown in at least 4 years. The auction closes December 2nd. Good hunting.
Well, a few weeks ago, some of us from AOPA were out in Dayton, Ohio. We were gathering content from the National Aviation Heritage Area in conjunction with the AOPA Pilot Passport feature in the AOPA app. And one of our stops was the Champaign Aviation Museum in Urbana. Volunteers there are restoring a B-17, and they gave us a lesson in blind riveting.
Thanks for coming over.
Oh, no, thanks for having us.
Okay, so somebody step up there. Everybody's going to get a turn at riveting.
Okay, we're gonna.
Eric, go for it. You go first.
This is what, you know, the rotary, the riveters, or anybody would have put the skin on. Like you'd had a piece of skin, you'd had a rib. In most cases, it's a big curve, but you know. But anyway, first thing you have to do, you have to pick the right rivet. Somebody's got to buck the rivet.
I'll buck the rivet. Where are we going?
This is the rivet you're going to be bucking.
Right there? All right.
Yeah.
So just hold it.
Yeah, you know, no, you're
Okay.
too tight.
Okay.
What you have to put the rivet on, put the gun on the rivet. Okay. You're on now.
right.
Now you want to come up against it.
All right, we got to focus
Now what's
there.
going to happen as she runs it? You're going to write it down.
Okay, gotcha.
Okay, now go ahead. Whoa! Oh! He did. you done shot that one. Okay. Well, no, it's not completely down, but just real easy. Okay. Oh no, you're pulling like a gun. Okay. You just ease it, real easy.
Okay.
Now here.
I'm good.
Try it again. Try again. Yeah, just ease into it. Now keep going. A little bit more. See the Clicos, we're going every other one.
Right.
They would have loaded and had it drilled, and that's what they would have done. They drilled in between. Once you get the in between ones, now you can take these out and do the other.
Now, were they having to drill this out and deburr and everything on all of these, or is that already done for them?
In most cases, your riveters would just rivet. Somebody would have had this deburred and clean and ready to go. Yeah.
Now that you've learned what not to.
I know, right? All right, right there.
Just kind of get to support yourself. So yeah. Okay. Okay. Stop right there. Now come here and take a look. Come around and see what you did. So here's what you did. Now,
Yeah.
Okay. That. See that goes on?
Yeah.
Okay. So it's got to go down a little bit more. Okay. Just a fraction more.
Cool. All right, ready, Paul?
Yep. Okay. Good. That should be a good one.
We have a lot more from the National Aviation Heritage Area, and you'll see it across AOPA channels real soon.
A loss this week to the aviation community. Jim Richmond was the founder of Cub Crafters. Richmond began modernizing the iconic Piper Super Cub in 1980. He launched Cub Crafters the same year. As an innovative engineer and A&P mechanic, Richmond believed that the Super Cub was capable of so much more than what Piper had originally intended. He was always looking for ways to breathe new life into these vintage airplanes. Richmond's continual desire for innovation led to the brand of modern aircraft synonymous with adventure and safety. Although Richmond had retired from managing the company on a day-to-day basis, he remained active in the strategic and creative direction until his death on Sunday. AOPA Senior Editor Dave Hirschman joins us now. Dave, Jim Richmond's legacy, of course, is something that we're going to see impacting aviation for a long time.
Right. He was a real original, a thinker and a doer, and he single-handedly just radically reinvented the light sport aircraft category, the builder assist programs, and really backcountry culture with the Nosewheel X Cub, that's going to expand access to the backcountry for so many aviators.
Really is. I've flown the NX Cub several times in the last couple of years, and it is astonishing what that design has done to make the backcountry world kind of available to a lot more people who don't have the time or desire to be necessarily tailwheel proficient.
Sure, you used to have a PhD level of tailwheel knowledge to confidently fly in some of these areas, and this will vastly expand the number of pilots who can participate. And one thing that Jim did not believe in was focus groups and surveys. I mean, he knew his customer base. He was a bold entrepreneur. He started as a missionary pilot. The reason he got his mechanic certificate was to become a missionary pilot someday. He bought a couple of surplus Cubs that were being released by the Italian military. That started this long process of reinventing and improving Super Cubs. He was an overnight success, 50 years in the making, and he will be deeply missed.
Yeah, I remember G3X Touch, the Garmin G3X Touch. That was one of the first applications of that in a certified airplane.
Right, and he put it in a Carbon Cub. He put it in the X Cub as a certified airplane.
Right.
He had years of experience from using them in Carbon Cubs before that, and the legacy he leaves will be the shared passion, the growth in the backcountry portion of flying, and this strong, vibrant company that he built.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, thanks, Dave, and our condolences to the Carbon Cub family. They'll definitely miss Jim Richmond, as we all will. When we come back, an electric speed record.
And what it was like to fly a Super Sabre low and fast over Vietnam. Those stories next.
Are you thinking about selling your airplane? I'm Kevin Tracy, and I owned one of the largest advertising agencies north of Boston. And I'm the former VP of Marketing at Piper. I know airplanes and I know advertising. Go to twinairaviation.com to learn more about how I can help you sell your airplane.
Welcome back. It's called Spirit of Innovation for good reason. Rolls-Royce says their electric airplane is the world's fastest electric vehicle. The Spirit of Innovation clocked nearly 337 knots.
We've broken a record that already existed, but crucially, we've broken it by a phenomenal amount. We've added 100 miles an hour to the existing record. And I can't think of a better way of demonstrating just how fast this technology is moving and how soon this is going to be in everybody's lives in the way that we travel.
Well, the airplane is part of the Accelerating the Electrification of Flight project in the UK. It's powered by a 500-plus horsepower electric powertrain with the most power-dense propulsion battery pack ever made for aviation. Well, Tom, I noticed that you're sporting your orange colors. Are you looking forward to some pumpkin pie?
Sure, yeah, I bring this shirt out once a year and honor all the sacrifices that the pumpkins made so that we might have pie on Thanksgiving. So anyhow, it comes out, like I said, once a year, whether it likes it or not. But anyhow, we hope you're having a good Thanksgiving weekend. No matter what your tradition is, we hope you'll consider the one of Giving Tuesday. It's a chance, after spending all that money, Black Friday, Cyber Monday, to remember the nonprofits and charities that do good work. And we'd offer that the AOPA Foundation is one of those. Donations to the AOPA Foundation fund things like the Air Safety Institute and the You Can Fly programs and the scholarships we talked about earlier. They could use your support. Right now, there's the You Can Fly Challenge going on. Between now and the end of the year, every gift to the foundation via the You Can Fly Challenge will be doubled, dollar for dollar, up to $2.5 million by the Ray Foundation. Or join me and many others in the Hat in the Ring Society. Find out more and how to give on the AOPA Foundation website.
Well, one of AOPA's beloved writers and photographers was just honored with an award for outstanding contributions to journalism. Western Kentucky University honored the late Mike Collins with the award. Mike was a WKU photojournalism graduate. He died in February from COVID-19. Mike was well known in aviation and photography worlds. He took photos and wrote many articles during his nearly 30 years at AOPA. He was an integral part of the media team, serving as technical editor and director of business operations.
This week, remember all that we can be thankful for. One of the many blessings, the freedom we enjoy in this country, and it's made possible thanks to the service of our military members. This week, AOPA senior photographer Mike Pfizer honors the pilots who flew the F-100 Super Sabre in Vietnam.
You can read about this, and you can see videos of it, and you can talk to people that have done it. But until you're strapped in and smell the jet fuel, the exhaust, the smells of the cockpit inside, and hear the burner, the engine, and feel the sensations, all these orchestrated like a symphony of a way of life. It's unexplainable. I really wanted to have one more burner light before I went to fighter pilot heaven, hopefully, but I wanted to be around people from my tribe, people that had seen the elephant, as John Wayne used to say, had been in combat with the plane.
The Super Sabre Society was formed back in 2006, and we're a fraternal organization of about 1,400 former F-100 pilots. Airplane itself is initially most famous because it was the first aircraft that could go supersonic, straight and level. But what I like to describe the F-100 as the apogee of its career was a 7-year period that it flew in Vietnam. Primarily during that 7-year period, it was flown in South Vietnam with a primary mission and close air support for the ground troops.
What does it mean to be an F-100 pilot? If you walk into a place where people know aviation, they know that that was the trickiest airplane in the Air Force to fly. And if you pull back in that airplane and don't hit rudder and just aileron, you will wind up upside down, just like doing a Sabre dance. It'll tell you how tricky the F-100 can be. And if you could fly an F-100, you could pretty much fly everything, yeah. I met the best pilots in the world, the best friends. The crew chief that I had in Vietnam, he waxed my airplane. Al Patenaude waxed my F-100. It went 20 knots faster than the rate of the F-100, so you could see it a little bit further away. I kidded him about that. The crew chiefs kept us flying, and they were really the best guys in the world. And we had a very close relationship I'm lucky to have with this man. I was there a month, and rockets started hitting the base. It was the beginning of Tet. February '68, I started flying 3 missions a day, every day, day and night, until Tet was over. So it was about a 40, 50 days period where we didn't shut down the engines, in very close proximity to friendlies, and dropped a lot of bombs and just tore them up. When people ask how many were killed in Vietnam, they make the mistake by saying 58,000 were killed. 58,000 people weren't killed in Vietnam. 2 million were killed. Something to think about.
The Misties were a special group of 157 of us that flew a special, at then time, top secret mission in the F-100 in Vietnam. Early in the war, they had the small prop-driven airplanes, the O-1 and O-2s, that were trying to do forward air control airplanes finding targets up north for the bomb-laden fighters. And the defenses were just so dense the slow airplanes couldn't survive. And so they decided to try the F-100 as a forward air control airplane. So we used the 2-seat F. You flew 1 mission in the front seat, 1 mission in the back seat. The front pilot flew the airplanes. The back seat pilot carried the maps and the handheld camera, whatever, and worked the radios controlling the strikes. The whole idea was you went out and found stuff and marked it with smoke rockets from fighters. Now, the missions were long and they were hard. We flew at low level to find the targets, and the missions were 4 to 6 hours, refueling 2 or 3 times. We had a high loss rate. About 28% of the pilots got shot down, some of them twice, as a matter of fact. Flying in SAM and AAA environments, we had no chaff, no flare, no ECM pods, no tactics, no knowledge, and what have you. I mean, we were out there by ourselves, alone, way out of radio contact with anybody, and we would lose a guy and then spend 2 or 3 days looking for him and never found him, you know. I'm struck by how far we have come. We had more fun in the old Air Force. We left more brain cells on the barroom floors around the world, but we can't hold a candle to today's Air Force. They can do everything we wish we could. They can find targets, they can hit them day or night, all kinds of weather. They can survive with ECM, with all type of stuff. All we could do is go out and rely on our skill and our courage. Tough war and tough times because we didn't have the right equipment. Now we've got it.
Vietnam, I figured it was my war. It was the F-100's war. I dearly loved flying the F-100. I learned much about it by just practicing. I got through all of its disabilities, the things that would go wrong with the airplane. I had a lot of incidents with the airplane, and I learned to fly it, as some people say, with your first 2 index fingers and your thumb. Because the F-100 was not a stable lady. You take your hands off it and she would wander. Couldn't just trim it up and let it go because it wouldn't stay there. You had to constantly control that airplane. You had to fly it. When I got into the airplane, I always felt like I was climbing on top of a bull. I'd lower myself down into the cockpit and buckle everything up. But the mission didn't start until I got kicked in the butt by that afterburner. And I loved that afterburner, and I loved that airplane.
We experienced the incommunicable experience of war. We felt, and we still feel, the passion of life to its top. In our youth, our hearts was touched with fire. To be in that tribe is good enough for me.
It's amazing. You know, I had gotten to meet a few of those guys a few years ago in Indiana when they had a gathering earlier, and it was great to see some of them there again and hear even more of their stories.
Yeah, amazing group of not just pilots, as they pointed out, but entire crews to make that whole operation work. And boy, what an incredible airplane too. It must have been fascinating to fly, really something.
Yeah, amazing. And just all they went through, every one of them. Thank you for your service.
Yes, absolutely.
And finally this week, a congrats to Tom. He passed his commercial multi-engine check ride on Tuesday. He earned the rating in a Technim P2006T from Bravo Flight Training in Frederick, Maryland. Bravo sharing this photo of him with the airplane after the successful flight. Oh, congratulations, Tom. What a big accomplishment.
Oh, thank you very much. It was certainly an interesting trip through that process of getting the commercial multi-engine, something on my bucket list for a very long time. It was super lumpy and roily on Tuesday when we did the check ride, which I was actually grateful for because it helped cover up some of my sloppy maneuvers like VMC demonstration, that sort of thing. But we got through it, and yeah, it was all good, fun experience.
Great. Well, congratulations.
Always good to challenge yourself.
Well, that's our show for this week. We're sincerely thankful for your support and your viewership of our program. We couldn't do it without you, quite literally.
That's right. And we want to hear from you and the reasons that you're thankful about things in our world today. Leave us a comment below or send us a note. We hope you have a great weekend. We'll see you back here next week.
Now's your chance to take part in the You Can Fly Challenge. From now until the end of the year, your gift to the AOPA Foundation will be matched. The high school initiative provides aviation STEM curriculum for students across the country. Flight training helps schools and instructors deliver the kind of experiences that today's pilots demand. Flying Clubs helps to start new clubs and provides support so existing clubs can flourish and grow. Help build a stronger pilot community today by visiting aopafoundation.org/challenge to have your gift doubled.